Good morning. First thing this morning, I didn't get the chance to actually record because we were literally walking down a waterfall on the trail. But we left the campsite last night. It was lovely. The caretaker's name was Bean, singular Bean, and she was great. It was a good stay, and obviously we caught up with some friends there. And yeah, we're a couple miles into our day today. We are at the Galehead Hut and we just got leftovers from breakfast. Here is the hut. And now we are headed up the next 4,000 footer, and we'll carry on from there.
It's so awesome when you can see where you've been.
So that's Franconia Ridge. And then we went over to Garfield yesterday. And then today we summited this, and that's where the hut was, which was, what was that, Galehead?
I believe so, yeah.
And then we came down the ridge and now we're here.
Are we over here?
We were. Yeah.
And I've said this before too, but they'll get to just kind of like ease out of it. Oh, that's gorgeous.
We just found the water system for the hut. Sending water downhill.
Like the sheet has become from something that we've been on. Do you know what I mean? And
Good morning. Today, or last night, was a good night at Ethan Pond Shelter. There's been a handful of newer people kind of circulating around us, and we got to hang out with them and have dinner with them and do all the camp tours, which was fun. We were pretty sardined in the shelter last night, so it was definitely warm. But yeah, today we did a little bit of down, and basically the rest of our day is uphill all the way to Lake of the Clouds Hut, which is really exciting. That's one of the places along the AT that I have always known about and knew that it was, you know, way up north somewhere, and it's actually in our scope for today, which is very exciting. So hoping for some good views, gentle climbs, crossing my fingers, and yeah, a good day. Well, this is the trail. It's also just a sheer rock face. That's all today's been, is scrambling up rocks. Standing on top of Jackson. That little dot is Mispa Hut, where we're headed for lunch. And that right there in the clouds is Washington, which is where we are almost headed to today. So, Mispa Hut right there in the white. Just kind of fun to think about the fact that all of my friends are like in this vicinity, just tucked down into the trees, trekking along. I love that.
there you go.
Everyone tells you about the beauty of Franconia Ridge, but no one tells you about the beauty of the approach to Lake of the Clouds Hut. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, this feels monumental to me. Here we are at Lake of the Clouds with Washington behind. I cannot believe I am here.
On the FKT website, there's a selfie.
Wow.
My bird.
Good morning. There's one of the lakes of the clouds behind me. Last night I did work for stay at Lake of the Clouds Hut, and I got to sleep on the dining room floor and get dinner for free, which was very cool. Yeah, it worked pretty well. It meant that we had to be up a little bit later than I wanted to be, because usually we go to bed at like 8, and we didn't get to eat our dinner until after everyone else at like 8:30. So it was kind of a late night, but I mean, it was worth it. It was a place to stay, and we had beautiful views out the windows, and we got to see the sunset, so I'm not complaining. Today, first thing, we have about a 1.5 mile trek up 1,000 feet to get to Mount Washington. And currently, clearly, we have no views, but we'll see what happens when we get up there, because today is actually supposed to be totally clear. So we'll see how fast that clearness hits. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but excited to get to the top of Washington. Stop. The area ahead has the worst weather in America. Many have died there from exposure, even in the summer. Turn back now if the weather is bad. I don't think this is bad. Please let us in. Bruce. Just leaving the summit of Washington, which boasts that it has the worst weather in America, and it's definitely cold and windy up here, so I think they might be right.
Knowing where the train is. I guess I'll get in my picture.
Hope it's not coming.
Is that this?
Oh, I think it's on this side because I hiked it.
It's all about symmetry. And then, yeah, you can.
Good morning. We are back on trail. We had a lovely 2-night stay with my family friends, Meredith and Steve. They live 15 minutes from Pinkham Notch, so it was really perfect, actually, and ideal for them to pick us up and house us for a couple days. We yet again timed it perfectly to take a 0 on the day with all the rain. So yesterday was super rainy and gross, and we got to sit inside and do our chores and rest and recover, and today we got dropped back off at Pinkham Notch and are back on trail. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really beautiful day. I think it's going to be a little bit of a hot day, but that's okay. We're currently on a flat little section of trail before we jump up, because the next thing we are going to be tackling is the Wildcats. So looking forward to it, and we have our next and last state line in our scope, which is crazy. Not today, but I just cannot believe actually how close we are. All right, let's get up the Wildcats. Got 1 snake, 2 snake wiggling, and a beautiful view. That tall peak is Washington, and over there is Madison. It doesn't really look like it because it's straight down, but that's the trail we just came up.
Oh my gosh, it's fruit by the foot.
We got a great view though. That is Washington, and that is Madison, and I think that is Adams. Beautiful day.
right at the edge. Alpine Gulf fritillary. It is only found on top of these mountains. The butterflies lay their eggs in the fall.
And now, obviously, through the whites, you've been doing like.
We're on the trail. It goes down. Look at this beautiful view. And this big drop that I'm right in front of, that's what we're just dropping straight down to the shelter. Beautiful though.
Massachusetts.
I'm stepping over to take a selfie.
Also, right where you're stepping says 1900.
There's some big fishies.
Hey, howdy. Welcome to another day. Before I talk about today, I'm realizing I didn't check in about yesterday. Yesterday was a bit of a rough day, which is kind of why I didn't. Several things have happened recently. One, while we were staying with our dear friends Meredith and Steve, as a family, we chose a summit weekend. And while that is amazing and it is so cool to know when that's going to be and know that we've got pretty much all the time in the world to get there, so we don't have to rush and we can take our time, it also means that now we have all been basically greenlit to figure out the logistics of getting home and family coming to see us in Maine. And we are a family of 6, and every single member of our family, to no fault of anyone's, has someone who is going to be, who wants to summit Katahdin with us, and more than that, who will be coming up to Maine to meet us. So, as you can imagine, that's a lot of details and a lot of reservations and tickets and whatnot that have to be sorted out. And on top of that, as it turns out, Baxter State Park doesn't save any parking spaces for non-Maine residents, which is a little frustrating because non-Maine residents can't sign up for a parking spot until 2 weeks out. And so they're just kind of SOL, which I think is an interesting system. So because of that, we then went down a large rabbit hole, all of us together, of trying to figure out how to even get people into the park and how are we supposed to get out of the park and all of the things. I'm saying all this to explain what I was struggling with the last 24 to 36 hours. I think I had really settled deeply into not having to deal with outside world logistics for a really long time. And all of a sudden, there are a lot to figure out. And I did not handle that well. It just kind of crashed over me in a really overwhelming way. So I struggled a lot with that. It seems like things are getting figured out now, and we are finding shuttles and such to get into the park. So everything is getting worked out, as I knew it would, but it was very overwhelming for a moment to think about. But yeah, that was internally something I was really struggling with yesterday. I'm pausing because I don't want to go up those stairs while I talk. Aside from that, yesterday's hike was pretty nice. It was nice and sunny. We thought it was supposed to rain in the middle of the day, and it did not, so that was great. We got down to a main road and hitched into Gorham. Ooh, there's the sun. Hitched into Gorham, which I keep for some reason calling Gotham. It's Gorham. And we went to a Chinese buffet and then laid out in the lawn of a motel where we weren't staying. And Meredith and Steve came and met us one last time, and they brought us a food drop that we had set up with them and shuttled us back to trail in 2 rounds because they couldn't even fit all 6 of us in the car at once. So they are truly wonderful people. Very much trail parents of ours out here. So yeah, that was awesome. And then we got back to trail. That's when we hit the 1900 mile mark. And we got over to a little stealth spot next to a parking lot where we were going to camp. And we did camp. And we got there right before it started raining. And ran into Granite Square and Trail Magic Mama, who we got Trail Magic from, which was awesome. Hung out with them for a good long while, and then we all kind of retired. When the rain picked up, we all kind of retired into our tents in my hammock early, so we were in there about 6:30 last night, and it was so nice and peaceful, and I'm feeling a lot better today. Today we are doing some simple miles over to, I think it's called Gentian Pond Shelter. Today is our last full day in New Hampshire, which is crazy to think about. Yeah, and we've got some climbing to do, but nothing quite as intense of a grade as we had been doing through the Whites. I'm not actually even totally sure if we're still in the Whites or not. I don't know where that line is, but we're getting close to the end. Yeah, and the end of New Hampshire as well. So kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, trekking through. We're back in a deciduous forest so far this morning. I don't know if we'll pop back up into a conifer forest later, but for now, yeah, really enjoying it. We found our first leech.